Hello again, everybody. It's Trags back with episode 240 of Patriots Beat on the CLNS Media Network. Patriots pull off a big trade on Tuesday evening, sending wide receiver Brandin Cooks to the Rams for a first-round pick, the 23rd pick overall. Patriots also get a 6th-round pick while also sending the Rams a 4th-round pick. Here to break it all down pronto is my old colleague Ryan Hannable, covering the Patriots, of course, for WEEI and WEEI.com. Ryan, I was worried that we weren't going to have any news to talk about when I actually called you up to discuss having a podcast.
That all changed Tuesday night, huh? In a bit of a hurry, too. This move, I don't think it was a huge surprise when you look at, what went down earlier in the offseason and what things looked like next offseason, but just the way that there really weren't any rumors surrounding it, and it just came out of nowhere, that made it a big surprise.
It really did, and that's just it. When you think about it, Ryan, and consider the fact that Brandin Cooks had just 1 year and $8.5 million left on his contract, this isn't a surprise. That they were going to move him, as it turned out, probably one way or another, and it just so happens that they were able to move him about 3 weeks before the NFL draft in Dallas. Patriots now have the 23rd, 31st, 43rd, and 63rd picks overall. That's 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Here's the big question, Ryan. Did the Patriots do this to get some value for the receiver they had under contract for just one more year? Or do you think they did it to stockpile and move up to get the quarterback?
It's a good question, and it's going to be a good debate over the next couple of weeks, what they're going to do with these 4 picks and having 2 picks in the first round and 2 picks in the second round. I'm of the mind that it's not for a quarterback. I don't think it is. I think that the team has so many other needs at other positions that are maybe more important than selecting a quarterback high in the draft, and you can still get a decent quarterback in the middle rounds, and that doesn't change. So to me, I think it's just stockpiling, 4 picks in the first 2 rounds to get 4 quality players to probably most of them go to the defensive side of the ball, because as we saw last year, that's the side of the ball that needs the most help and needs to get, more younger and more athletic. So I think they're going to use, at least 3 of those picks on quality defensive players.
Or a left tackle?
That's a possibility as well. I would think I would use that left tackle as sort of the fourth pick, as that goes to the offensive side of the ball. So maybe a left tackle, an edge rusher, a linebacker, and something else. I just think that you got to look at the defensive side of the ball as the spot that this trade addresses most, because you can get young, athletic players, and that's what the defense lacks. And you're not getting those players via free agency; you're getting them in the draft.
Well, what's interesting, I think, Ryan, is Bill Belichick has always said things do not happen in a vacuum down at Gillette Stadium. The thing is, we don't know exactly what is going on inside that war room, or what is going on inside that draft room. And we have to just sit here and speculate. And I got to think that if Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman were not coming back, okay, this trade would not take place, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the other shoe that drops with this trade, is it pretty much confirms to everyone that Gronkowski is coming back. He's not getting traded. He will be on the Patriots in 2018, because you can't lose Gronkowski, Danny Amendola, and Deion Lewis in one offseason. You just can't do that. So I think that's definitely a sign that Rob Gronkowski's back for next year.
What do you make of the team? We'll get back to the Cooks trade and what it might mean going down the road in terms of a quarterback or not a quarterback and who might take his place. But what do you make of the tea leaves that Rob Gronkowski, the Patriots, again, expected to have him back on the field? I saw, Ian Rappaport's tweet on Monday evening that the expectation is that he will be back with the Patriots. Well, call me cynical, but I think the expectation has been all along this offseason that Rob Gronkowski would be back. And my answer to that tweet was essentially, we're not going to know anything for sure until Gronk comes out and publicly says something, likely on social media, or he's actually on the field.
Yeah, I don't even think we're going to get the social media part. I think that, nothing's changed this whole offseason. Of course, the expectation is he's back for 2018 because he's under contract for 2018. It's not like he's a free agent and he's deciding whether to re-sign or not. he's under contract, so of course the expectation is that he'll be back. And I don't really think Gronk is, the type to make this big social media announcement to say that he's coming back in 2018. I just think that, come maybe OTAs, he steps out on the field like the rest of his teammates, and that's the sign that we know that he's back for next season. I don't expect any big, formal announcement that he's back next year, and I would expect Belichick to get asked at least a couple of questions about him at the draft, and I don't think he'll give any answers either. So I think, like you said, we won't really know for sure until he steps on the field with the rest of his teammates, whenever that may be, training camp, OTAs, whatever. But to expect a formal announcement or anything like that, I don't see it.
Talking with Ryan Hannable, excellent Patriots columnist and NFL beat reporter for WEEI and WEEI.com. Guys, I want to tell you about a product that you absolutely, positively must think about going forward as you get up in years. It's called Hims.com. 66% of men lose their hair, believe it or not, by the age of 35. Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, that's when it's too late. It's easier to keep your hair that you have now than to replace the hair you've lost. Is that hairline slowly starting to move backwards? Any bald spots yet? How will you feel a year from now if it's business as usual up on top of your dome? Well, I ask you, do you want a bald spot to pop up, or do you want to do something about it first? Why do you guys turn to weird solutions or do nothing at all when you can turn to medicine and science? Here's the solution. Go to 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skin care, and sexual wellness for men. Order now. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds of dollars if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/Trags, Trags. That's FORHIMS.com/TRAGS, 4hims.com/Trags. Speaking again with someone who doesn't have to worry too much about that, I don't think. Ryan Hannable, Patriots beat reporter for WEEI.com. Ryan, want to get back to the whole Brandin Cooks trade and kind of reading between the lines here and what might be going down in Foxborough, and the three quarterbacks that, if the Patriots were really to do something that they never do and package a couple of first-round picks and a second-round pick to move up, or future first-round picks to move up and get a quarterback: Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold. Of those three, who do you think's most likely, in their crosshairs?
It's hard to say. I mean, they're all great quarterbacks. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I guess Sam Darnold, if you're me, I think maybe he fits what the Patriots want, out of their quarterback. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them. If they had their eye on any of those three, I don't think I'd blame them at all for going up to grab them. I think that those three quarterbacks are going to be pretty good in the NFL. So whoever, if they were to do that, I don't think you can go wrong. So, and I wouldn't really fault them for selecting one over the other. So I guess the general answer is you can't go wrong with any of them.
So the irony, Ryan, and you know this as well as anybody, the Patriots don't take quarterbacks with first-round picks in the Bill Belichick era, right? I mean, that's something they don't do.
No, never have.
Why do you think that is? Brady?
I think
it's as simple as having Tom Brady?
For sure. I think that, when you have a guy like Tom Brady on your roster, you're not going to use, your most valuable pick on a quarterback when you know that position is set. But I also think there is something to Belichick having. It almost seems like he treats like the second round almost like the first round. He really values that second round. And, we've seen a number of great players that he's got in that second round. Jimmy Garoppolo being that guy. Wasn't Rob Gronkowski a second-round pick? I just think that, it doesn't need to be a first-round pick for Bill Belichick to get a terrific player. And I think when you look at the quarterbacks this year, I think that, the quarterbacks at the top of the draft are going to go really high. And I think that when you're looking, in the middle, to late first round, I don't think there's going to be many quarterbacks that are going to go. So I think the Patriots might be better off, waiting towards that second round to grab a quarterback, or even if they can wait even longer than that. They don't need to have a quarterback this year. I mean, obviously it'd be great to have a quarterback and have him groomed in the system, but it's not set in stone that they need to draft a quarterback. So it gives them flexibility, sure, but I think it also should be taken into account that they don't have to draft one.
The next level is Mason Rudolph, in my estimation, Oklahoma State. I know people are hot to trot about Baker Mayfield. I am not. I think
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph has a cannon, and he has a big body, and he projects as a first-round level quarterback. Certainly, there are lots of quarterbacks, that project in the second, third, and fourth round that may be right up the Patriots' alley. But I'm just going to throw this out there. If Lamar Jackson is available at 31, do you take him?
I could see it, and you with this trade of Brandin Cooks, it allows you to sort of take a risk like that, because before you didn't have this extra first-round pick, whereas, there are other needs on the roster, and you might need to use, your first-round pick on a more prominent need. But now say, hey, you could use your first-round pick, number 23, for a left tackle, and then if Lamar Jackson's there at number 31, sure, you can take that risk now because you already got your left tackle earlier. So I think this trade sort of gives that, scenario more credence, I guess. I don't know if it would necessarily happen, but having an extra first-round pick gives them, a lot more possibilities.
Bill Belichick has always believed in the credo, trust the board. And whatever the board says that player is valued at based on what the organization, all the work the organization has done over the last 8 months or so, going back to the start of the previous college football season, that's what Belichick is going to trust. And if Lamar Jackson is an exceptional athlete who has shown exceptional skill and projects as a first-round talent, then they would take a flyer on him. But if he has too many things to work on and they could get him in the third or fourth round, that's what the Patriots decided that they would do, they're not going to reach. My whole rambling point here, Ryan, is the Patriots, even with the stockpile of picks, I don't think they reach. I just don't think they go, well, yeah, but, we don't think he's a first-round pick, but we're going to take a chance because we have the margin of error. That's almost never the Belichick mentality.
Oh, definitely not. They know the value that they have in all these, stockpiling these 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. And they're not going to waste, their second first-round pick on a guy that they might know they get in the second round. They're just not going to do that. That's not how they operate. That's not how Bill Belichick works. It also, something that as I'm thinking as we're talking here, say that they like, what's in there in the middle round. Say they could package that number 31 pick to move back and get maybe another second-round pick or 2 third-round picks, something like that. So, having this extra first-round pick just gives them so much flexibility. And we know how much Belichick likes to, manipulate the draft board, and this just gives them another piece of the puzzle to play with. So I think this draft coming up in 3 weeks will be fascinating from a Patriots perspective, something that we really haven't had in the last couple of years.
Of those 4 picks in the first 63, how many do they wind up taking?
It's tough. I think at least 3. They've never really had this many picks so high in the draft, and I think it would be a shame for them not to use them, especially, given the needs they have on the roster and how, it would be beneficial to them to get younger at some positions. But, I just think of all the possibilities going through Belichick's head with how many picks he could potentially get for one of these picks. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him trade one of the picks.
I just also think, Ryan, it's fascinating that, as we think, or we assume, or many people assume on the outside, that Belichick's time with the Patriots is winding down, his behavior doesn't give any type of indication that it is.
No, that's another great point as well. I mean, we've talked about over the last couple of months, how many years does Belichick have left, and it seems like people's window is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And a trade like this seems to set up the team more so for the future than the now. I mean, if Belichick only had, in his mind, 1 or 2 years left, why would he trade away a great player like Brandin Cooks, who's probably going to give him a better chance of winning a Super Bowl this year or next year than, the first-round pick that they're going to get in exchange for him. So he's definitely setting the team up more so for the future. I mean, we saw the reports come out a little bit during the year last year, how Belichick wanted the team to be set up pretty well for the future, even when he did step away. But I can't see Belichick making a move like this if he doesn't feel like he has at least 2 or 3 more years left. I don't know about you, but this seems to me like he's planning to stick around for a little while longer.
I think he loves it. I mean, I think not only this kind of trade, but, you see him all around all the college pro days, it's still in his blood and he still loves doing it. And there's a lot of energy associated with it and a lot of enthusiasm. And I don't see him, slowing down, at least for the next couple of years. I want to thank Ryan Hannable of WEEI and WEEI.com for joining us. You absolutely positively should be following him on Twitter at Ryan Hannable. That is RyanHannable. Is that right, Ryan?
That's right, Trags.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I got something right here. Be sure to follow us on clnsmedia.com, on Facebook at facebook.com/clnsmedia. Of course, follow us on Twitter at two spots, at clnsmedia, and for Patriots and NFL-related content, at Patriots CLNS. Want to thank our sponsor of this podcast, hymns.com, for all Patriots content. Visit our site at clnsmedia.com. Want to give a shout out to my coordinating producer, Michael Longi, executive producer, Larry H. Russell, and of course, the founder of the network, Nick Gelso. This is the Patriots Beat podcast, powered by the CLNS Media Network.
What's going on, Past Nation? This is Marvin Zahn of the CLNS Media Network, and I'm here to tell you right now to check out the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show hosted by myself and my co-host, Mr. Mike Nice. And live on CLNS Radio immediately after every single Pats game. Call in at 929-477-2386 toll-free to get your voice heard and contribute to the host breakdown and analysis of the latest Patriots contest. We also got the stars and sorries of the day, Twitter posts for the plays of the game, and everything else that is going on with the 5-time Super Bowl champion. Subscribe to CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show on iTunes and Stitcher, and the best way, download the free CLNS Media Network mobile app for on-demand listening anytime, any place, anywhere.